Hey guys, it's Evanstar here, and I'm about to go on a trip this week. So I've been packing and repacking and so forth. It's a week's trip, but the topic came up of traveling with miniatures, and I travel a lot with miniatures, and there are a lot of good ideas online, but I just thought I would show you some of the things that I do. Now, typically, when you're talking about an army, traveling with an army, you have to deal with this mess. So you've got this gigantic box here, just full of your whole army, trays of miniatures, lots of weapons sticking out, or weird pieces with weird dimensions that have to go. And so it's really kind of a hassle to try and lug one of these big boys with you, especially if that's basically your carry-on allowance is this thing. This thing also weighs, once it's full of lead, which this one is, or full of miniatures, it's going to weigh quite a bit. So that's your typical carrying case. You could also go with some of the homegrown carrying cases, which are pretty good. Again, look at the profile on this guy, it's huge. So it's pretty fat. But again, the nice thing is your miniatures are nice and safe inside. There's a little more Eldar there. I have a few too many Eldar armies. This is actually the third contingent. Anyway, but that's just a little too big to carry. A couple years ago, I was using a small GW case to carry miniatures, and for 40K you could carry about almost 2,000 points in one of these. This one's actually, I think, full of Blood Bowl. Let's see. Yeah, this is Blood Bowl miniatures. But yeah, I used to be able to take one of these and drop it in my rollerboard, and I could still fit a week's worth of clothing there if you spend the money and you get yourself a nice rollerboard with extra compartments and shirt folding zipper bags and that kind of thing. You could reasonably fit one of these inside your carry-on, which is great. But that option has kind of went away with the TSA regulations, and they keep making that carry-on size smaller and smaller. So anyway, so you're stuck with trying to take a case like this one and trying to get a smaller one. Now this one would fit in a carry-on bag. The problem is profile's a little high. Oh, okay. This was like War Machine stuff that still hanging out in this bag. But you can still fit quite a few miniatures in here. Just a couple of notes I would point out is, you can see that if stuff is loose, it's going to break apart like that. So wherever you're going, hopefully you have some friends with glue. The other thing is, you want this is okay for just traveling around with locally, but you can see the miniatures are going to move around a lot inside. So they're going to move around a lot, and they've got little parts and things. They're going to break, so that can be a hassle on the road. One thing you can do with big miniatures, actually, that I do is magnetize them. So there's a heavy warjack, or a Myrmidon, I should say. And so this thing, you just kind of assemble it, and you can actually, you're supposed to do that anyway so that you can make whatever type of Myrmidon you're going to be using. But it's also useful for traveling. You can see I can just slide it in here, and instead of that tall model taking up half of the height of this box, it folds down nicely into one level. So, but this guy's out, because like I said, the foam's a little flimsy. I kind of put this together from aluminum and some foam trays that I bought. It's just not quite the right size. So you know, I've done some experimenting over the years. In a bind, you could do something like this with a cigar box. You can see I've glued some foam in the middle of it. This works okay for durable miniatures. It doesn't look so great. The miniatures may roll around, but the foam padding is so tight on this that it should be okay. So this is okay if you don't want to buy anything. Cigar boxes, you might have some lying around. If not, you could also use. Let's see. You could also use pencil boxes. So this is a pencil box. This is just something you can buy at like an Aaron Brothers or an Art Mart for, I think they run about $6 or $7. And then you basically just take all that foam from those boxes that you get, blister packs or other miniature boxes, and then you can glue the foam however you want. You can make your own compartments, and this works okay. I've traveled with a couple Blood Bowl teams and things like this, and this works out all right. What's nice is the size, though. I mean, you can fit about 24 miniatures in here comfortably, and this will just slide right into your rollerboard. But I'm one of those guys that's very particular about dimension. So the profile's the right thickness. It's about 2.5 inches thick. So it's good for one level. But this one I decided not to go with because it's just, things are just going to roll around too much in that for what I want. And I'm going on some very short trips. The other thing you could do, this is a Chessex box. And this box, let me pop this open real quick. This box, I kind of made it a hybrid. So you've got miniature compartments here. This fits about 20, I want to say close to 30 miniatures. And it's okay. You have these long sections here for miniatures. The problem is they're going to start bouncing around inside here, and that's kind of a problem. So you might want to stick some extra foam in there. I've reinforced the top of the lid here with some corrugated foam, and that, so it snaps down rather snug. Not a whole lot's going to move, but you are going to get some lateral movement. Now, with the length of this box being something like 20, almost 20 inches, this is just barely going to fit into a rollerboard. But you will be able to get about 30 or so miniatures in it. Now, the particular problem I had was Malifaux. Malifaux has very small miniatures, which is nice because you're not carrying around a lot of miniatures, but you're carrying some very fragile miniatures. And the first thing I tried to do was I tried to do a makeshift carrying case so that I can carry around a few crews. Now this is actually a like a toiletries bag that came with one of my suitcases. And what I did was really simple. All I did was I put some foam inside. You can buy these packing foam sheets for fairly cheap. And then I reinforced it with a little bit of heavy card, which gives it some stiffness. And this was okay, but again, with these cell sizes, I was kind of having some problems. You can see that a miniature is going to move around quite a bit in one of these things. So let me close that. Actually, just get out of the way. So, and I'm traveling very, very lightly. This is the bag I'm going to be taking to Seattle. So I have 2 trips this week. Got a trip to Denver, so the earlier part of the week. So this is just chock full. This is a Samsonite backpack, and it's basically chock to the brim. One thing that's nice though, it's a laptop bag, so you can slide your big gaming laptop. Mine's a pretty big gaming laptop, but that's all I've got. I mean, that's all I'm carrying. and then I come home and I head out to Seattle. So this is the Seattle bag, and I travel enough to where the choice of bag is important to me. But anyway, so here's the Seattle bag, and inside the bag, you can see I have my clothes and things here all ready to go. So when I come home, I just switch bags. But what I'm traveling with right now is this little guy. Okay. Now, I just showed that you can make very similar types of bags with stuff lying around like cigar boxes or pencil boxes. But this, for me, really does it. And a couple of reasons, without even cracking this thing open. I can fit the cards for my crew here. You can fit the pocket rulebook in the back of this thing. It's very slim profile. It's about the size of a heavy or a thick book, honestly. Let me show you what I did inside this thing, though. These things run about 30 bucks, so they're not cheap. Considering you spend another 10 or 15 and you'll get a full-size army box. But I wanted this particularly because I can just slide it right into my other bag, and it's really not going to affect me much. So you pop this open. You've got another compartment in here. I've got the rest of the cards in there. I made this foam. You can just glue foam with regular Elmer's glue, and as long as you let it dry long enough, it'll hold into one piece. So I took the pieces that are actually out of the Malifaux boxes, put it there. I know this is running kind of long. Anyway, believe it or not, there are 4 entire crews in here. About 25 models. I haven't really counted, but it's quite a bit. So they all fit, and everything is snug, except for, let's take this out just to show you. There's 4 miniatures in here, and you can see just by using profile, just by using how the models, the physicality of the models, how they can slide in and fit with one another, how well that is. And nothing moves. Nothing at all moves in this. There is a little bit of danger because you've got heads and glued on pieces and things that are protruding out. But the profile itself is fine. So even though, like the Victoria, her sword hand here are glued and they're really a pain to try and keep on. That's a pain. Coryphea are a pain. But if they don't move, you're okay. And you've got a good ½ inch of foam in every direction to protect you. Now, on top of that, you might be thinking about 40 to 50 millimeter bases. Those slide in right underneath. So everything just fits right underneath. Should point out, anytime I'm working with 40 or 50 millimeter bases, one of the things I do, you can just see, is that I magnetize the bottom of the bases and I magnetize the models. That allows me to put the model in a much smaller compartment while I can reasonably slide the base in underneath. So anyway, this bag is great because I have 4 whole crews in here. I can literally run my own miniature Malifaux tournament out of this one bag if I wanted to. And this whole thing is just going to fit perfectly in here. So, you know, if you have the money, definitely invest in protecting your miniatures. And I just wanted to show you a few ways that I've got around to traveling with them. So this is a great bag. This is going to go with me probably when I go to Chicago next month and see some of you guys. I may be taking this if I have more crews by then, which I might. I'll probably be taking that silver guy and just putting that in my rollerboard. If not, I will be taking this, and I will have all 4 crews. So anyway, that's the video. I know this ran very long, so sorry. And talk to you later.